webcasting to the world.
Do you remember the moment you saw yourself in God and God in you, and you were one with the universe and God and everybody?
Knowing the truth about the gospel.
You were one with the prostitutes and pimps and priests and kings, and there was nobody on earth that was better than you nor less than you.
That we are all righteous.
And no one on earth was any less in Christ than anyone else.
That's Mike Williams, and this is the Gospel Revolution.
Hello, this is Daniel Rouse. Would you welcome with me again the founder and president of the Gospel Revolution, Michael Lilborn Williams.
Hello, Daniel Thomas Rouse. I understand that you have just accomplished a front nine and a back nine. What in the world does that mean?
Four? Yeah, I went out to the old links this morning, and the front nine. Talk about living on the plus side of things and the downside of things. My front nine was absolutely horrid, but by the time we got to the back nine, I shot the best round of the year.
Oh, wow. So you had an old covenant and a new covenant experience.
Yeah, I had a dual covenant experience this morning. Yeah.
Well, thanks for welcoming me, and I welcome you also. Thank you for hosting our show. This is a highlight of my life, and I think Daniel's also, although he is quite a bit busier. Although I'm getting busy. Working 15-hour days, I guess, is pretty busy, right?
Yeah, you've been a busy guy.
Yeah. And a happy guy.
Well, and as this podcast goes out, we are going out on July 4th. Of course, I think our secret's out that we don't record on July 4th, but happy 4th of July to all of our American listeners.
Well, yes, and happy 4th of July to all of our non-American listeners. I mean, why can't they have a happy 4th, right?
You can still be happy.
We may have a corner on what it means to us, but we don't have a corner on the 4th of July, right?
And I suppose every day is a good day to celebrate our independence. And
it is.
We are independent from religion.
Yes. And that we will celebrate. Oh, man. And we hope to pass this celebration on to the whole planet. That is our goal. We'll settle for nothing less, right?
Yeah, so. Exactly.
We appreciate those of you who do contribute. We will be, Daniel has his tickets to come here for us to record the fall conference.
Yeah, we're about a month out from that, and then that gives us about 3 weeks before the conference. So, wow. Of course, we're coming at you again with another conference coming the first weekend of September. So get ready, because and at the rate things are going right now, we don't even know where we're going.
We'll have no clue. We have no clue where we will be. That's exactly right, Daniel. We have not only that, we have no clue what we're doing right now. So
yes, it's going to be a surprise for all of us.
It is. Yeah. We are very grateful. This today is a very special day that we will get to do a little bit later on. Let's save it for a little bit. Not the day that you're hearing this, but we have a birthday today that is unlike anyone ever in history. And we'll be telling you about that birthday a little bit later. It is jaw-dropping. Daniel, you know about this birthday. How would you compare it to other birthdays?
Could one say maybe the birthday of all birthdays?
There you go. The birthday of all birthdays. Sounds like a good subtitle, at least for a show, right?
Yeah. Well, and how is your weekend going? I hear you may have a visitor in the house.
I do. I do have a mouse in the house. I mean, a visitor in the house. My daughter, Audrey, is here. And she is going to be in on this, especially for a particular part of the show. But she is here. And so I want to introduce everyone to, for the first time in GR history, well, not really, because she used to be a little girl sitting on the front row, pretty as a little picture. And now she's still a pretty girl on the front row, but she has a little boy, 11 years old. So this is my daughter, Audrey Ann Williams Bauer. Audrey.
Hello, and I'm not falling asleep this time like I used to when I was little.
Oh, she would. She would sit right on the front pew and curl up in the corner, and sometimes she traveled with just me. And I never will forget going to Pekin, Illinois, and we left the house, and she was all in on it until we started to get in the car, and she's trying to figure out just where we're going and how long we're going to be gone. Audrey was always very methodical about everything. And she was just not real sure this was the thing that she wanted to do. So I talked her into coming at the last minute. And she agreed. And of course, everything went just fine. But I remember her being on that trip. I don't know how old she was. I don't remember. But I remember telling her we were going to Pekin. And she said, "Oh, like when I'm peeking in my mom's purse." And so now I hope she wasn't 18 when she said that. But
I think I was about 6.
Yeah, but somewhere around 6. So yeah, like when I'm peeking in my mom's purse. So Audrey, we really appreciate you being here. The gospel saved Audrey's life. It has been a major thing for our whole family. I just talked with Hazel yesterday trying to describe her life now. Audrey, Hazel, I do call them, their names are interchangeable to me. So I was speaking with Hazel just yesterday or day before, and she was going through line by line and describing to me what her life is like right now and what she does and when she does it. And she said, "But Michael," she said, I am at complete peace at all times." And she started rehearsing to me exactly what we all say about what has happened since we've understood the gospel. And she was trying to compare her life to her friends, and which is all just a frantic, from one frantic moment to the next. And Hazel just lets it all blow by, and she takes care of the Gospel Revolution there from her home in Olney, Illinois. And she was telling me, she said, "Michael, I've been trying to figure out why I'm happy." And she said, "I don't have a reason. I just am."
I love that.
Yeah. Don't need a reason. I think she realized she didn't need a reason to be happy. And when you don't need a reason to be happy, you can be happy.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So Audrey is coming to the same thing. And it has been the gospel for our family has been transformative. And we're very, very grateful. And we want it to be the same for everyone out there. I hear from you, and I hear we don't have separate testimonies. It's all just one thing. Nobody has a different testimony. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So because it is the power of God, because we are all one, and there's one impact. There's one single result to the gospel and its power. We know what the power of the gospel is because we know what it does.
You're already preaching good.
Yeah, Shandai Bobo.
Not this again.
Well, we have been on quite a journey here. This is now session number 3 on the Lilborn equation and the immediacy of light. Of course, we are coming on the tail ends of 50 sessions on the 1,000-year reign of Christ. And I want to do a shout out to that. If you, for whatever reason, this is the first podcast or maybe the second podcast of the Gospel Revolution that you have listened to, I want to encourage you to go to our YouTube channel, and we have a playlist there set up with 50 sessions from the 1,000-year reign of Christ. Really be about 60, 70 hours worth of your time for listening. we walk through what exactly is the 1,000-year reign of Christ, and we can show you scripturally, time and time again, 50 times over, we'll show you exactly when the 1,000-year reign of Christ happened. And I'll let the cat out of the bag here. It was when David was crowned king up until the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ, exactly 1,000 years of history. And the Bible, the Hebrew scriptures are reluctant. I mean, they do not give up. I mean, it is time and time again, prophecy after prophecy, image after image, parable after parable, all showing us the 1,000-year reign of Christ. And but where we're at now is what Paul taught us in Romans chapter 1. He made this statement. He says, "For since the creation of the world, the invisible one is clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse." So, what are we looking at? We're looking at the created things, and we're looking at physics. How does physics show us God? And we've already been asked by some of our longtime supporters, why are we doing this? And this is why, because the Apostle Paul tells us, the Hebrew scriptures tells us that by understanding creation, we can understand God.
That very much is true. And just a moment on our 1,000-year reign, we just we just trip over stuff now. Like a boulder of gold and crystal, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, enough. And so that just happened this week with the 1,000-year reign. In going back and studying the 1,000 years, yep, you've already got the little template going here. There was 1,000 years of history of Genesis before the flood. So we understand, all the GRs understand about the canopy. You know what that means. We're not going to try to define that. But we know that the first 1,000 years of human history, they could not see the heavens. They were governed by its light, but they were not governed by the visual sight of it. We've got a lot to share with you about that, but that's going to be jumping too far ahead. So as I was studying the between the two and studying the issue of light, the issue came up that there is a direct comparison that is viable between the 1,000-year reign of Christ, which was veiled, and the 1,000-year history of the human race, which was veiled, and that the canopy kept them from seeing the heavens, and that the 1,000-year reign being veiled in prophecy and all of these things kept them from seeing the kingdom of God.
Wow.
It was hidden, as Christ said it was hidden. So we have 1,000 years in which the very physical heavens were hidden, but yet still there. And the kingdom of God was hidden, even though it was veiled and was fully revealed at the cross. And this is as the waters of Noah unto me, saith the Lord. Because both were unveilings of worlds that no one could see. The first one was the unveiling of the solar system. They'd never seen the solar system before. And the second was, why was it like the waters of Noah? We've stabbed at it many times. But now we know that this was like the waters of Noah unto him, because it was the unveiling of the kingdom of God.
As Daniel flares his hands in the air.
He's flailing, folks. He's flailing.
How do we just keep coming up with this stuff? And like Michael said, I mean, we've got 2 minutes to spend on it. We've got other things we got to do. Yeah, I mean,
sorry,
wow.
Take that one and try to take a nap or something. I don't know what you do, but that is a fractal a simple little fractal of the big picture.
Yeah.
And you say, well, that's a pretty large fractal. Nah, not in the big scheme of things. Not with where we are today on this moment. This recording is taking place on June the 29th. And it's somebody's birthday. It's a birthday that's never been celebrated. We'll tell you more about that in a bit.
Yeah, and as we are walking in this series, another one of our verses in the Hebrew Scriptures that we are working from, and if you didn't catch last week's episode, make sure you do that because we walked verse by verse right through Psalm chapter 19. But let me just read the first few verses here, just as a refresher. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. Day unto day utters speech, and night unto night reveals knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line has gone throughout all of the earth, and their words to the end of the world. And that's the language we're endeavoring to speak on this series, is a language that can be heard in every language, in every tongue, in every tribe, in any nation, in any part of the world. We want to speak the language of creation because it speaks of the handiwork of God.
Yeah, the language of the cosmos can be understood in any language. It's the one subject there is no language barrier at all. And for some reason, somebody knew that 4,000 years ago.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah, just a quinky. Well, actually, it had been 3,000 years ago. This is a language, folks. The physics of the cosmos, physics itself, is a language. Physics is a language that causes you to see God. That's what it says. It causes you to see God. And also, when it causes you to see God and creation, only then can you understand the new creation. And we have a lot of our friends that are terribly confused in mysticism. They think the new creation was not necessary at all. That was just all took place in the mind. Well, I would say thanks for playing, but I wish you'd stop playing and get serious here and start accepting the power of the Hebrew Scriptures and their clarity to declare who God is. And by the time you finish it, you're not going to have to fabricate some story. You'll be able to go in and look in the mirror and say, oh, there he is.
Michael, one of the things that you said last week, and this is repeated every time that we open up a new discussion, any fractal, any topic, is we have to go back to Genesis.
Always.
And I want to take us back there today to, again, we're talking about the immediacy of light. So what better place that we need to go back to than Genesis chapter 1, where light is first mentioned? Let me just read the first 4 verses here of Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. So God, the very first thing that God spoke was, "Let there be light," and light was.
Exactly. And notice that it says he divided it from the darkness, not from the electromagnetic field. God did create an electromagnetic field, and that electromagnetic field is based on the magnetics created by I think 129 kilometers below the earth, a belt of iron and nickel that is in motion to some degrees. That's the reason our magnetic north changes. It's in fluctuation. It'd be a fun thing if you just Google magnetic north since 1600. And it has, they've been able to tell that ever since they realized where magnetics come from. They didn't know whether it was how far down, but in 1600, but they knew that it was within the earth. But they could measure the magnetic field and where the true magnetic north was. And you'll see it wander around quite a bit. So the earth is still a a work in progress, if you will. It really is. And I'm hoping that people will be able to see that even as we see, like what happened at Mount St. Helens and other things that are happening structurally from inside the earth, this is not entropy. This is not collapse. This is still the process of the earth evolving into an even better place for us to live. I am convinced of that with all my heart. It is a planet in process. But God did separate the light from the darkness. It's very important. And what we also have to note is there weren't no sun yet, Daniel.
Yeah, that didn't happen till what, day 4?
I think day 4 we had got sunshine.
So I want to back up for a second. So what significance does the electromagnetic field have in dividing light and darkness?
Well, that's where the light is separate from the light itself is separate from the electromagnetic field. Now, what science, theoretical science has done is joined the electromagnetic field to light and called it light. So they say that the electromagnetic field is light. And they have so distorted what light is. Now, even a microwave is light. A radio wave is light. This has been a progression of degradation in the definition of what light actually is because they're trying to prove it. Whenever you start trying to prove something that's not real, the story's going to grow and grow and grow and grow, just like a lie, because it's a lie. I can just say that to you right out front, that light and the electromagnetic field is not light. Light is light without the electromagnetic field. This shows up all the time in the fact that when light does interact with the electromagnetic field, it shows up. That's why they are so confused about the subatomic world, and we have the illusion of quantum mechanics because they see appearing, because they call light a particle. Light is not a particle. Light is something of its own, and it has nothing to do with what it interacts with. It can interact. With. It does interact. It interacts in space where there is no electromagnetic field. So you can take these folks so far, and then they just start. It's like taking an animal to the edge of a cliff or something. It may go so far, but it gets spooked and turns around and runs. So the fact that the electromagnetic field and light are two separate things is not something they have any concept of at all. Everything that you are taught and have been taught for an awful lot of years now is that electromagnetics and light are synonymous. They are one. They have come so far, and they finally saw that sometimes the electromagnetic field, you can see light, and then there's electromagnetic field that you can't see light. So now, do you know what they say, Daniel? Light is both visible and invisible, but it's still light. Now go figure that one, right? Yeah. That's how nonsensical it has become. So the ability to see light is based on its interaction. It can interact with an electromagnetic field, and you will see it. Because the subatomic world is not a closed system. You know how they've showed us these little silver bouncing balls of atoms when you watch a video? That portrays a closed system that does not exist. An electromagnetic system is open. So and just imagine, it's really strange. I thought that light was inside this electromagnetic system. And so they would peer into it and look, whoop, there it is. Whoop, there it's gone. Oh, look, one ate a proton and one pooped a proton, you know? And I mean, it's just crazy. But the issue is that if you turn out the damn lights, you can't see light inside of a electromagnetic field or an atom. Yet they say it's in there. If it's in there, turn out the lights and look at it.
Right.
So, but they turn on the lights, and guess what, Daniel?
Da-da-da-da.
They're there again. Wonder where that came from. Oh my God. So, well, where it came from was the light you turned on now interacts with the proton or the electron that is in the subatomic world. Even though it's an open field, it is still subatomic. But the subatomic world does not contain light. Everything you know about quantum mechanics is based on that false assumption. That's where you get multiverses. That's where you get all of these things about quantum mechanics. It all comes from that light exists in the subatomic world. Yet they've proven that it does not. It is simply an interaction with light when they turn on the lights. So we have that, and but if you like in space, as we mentioned, I'll try to do these as briefly as I can. I don't want anybody to get bored with it. So they admit there is no electromagnetic field in space. It's dark, right? So, and if you think it's just them confused about it, me and Audrey sat here and watched a creationist completely agree with all of this stuff. They have no clue about light. Gospel revolutionaries, you're the first ones in the world on planet Earth to hear this. Now, that may mean we are out of our minds, or that may mean we followed the pattern that the entire Earth has. Truth always starts with a very small number of people and cracks everything else open. So we're at that moment. And why is this important? Because it shows us God himself. So if you are in space, it's black. They know it's black. We've got space station there right now. It's black. It's absolutely black. And if they turn off the lights, they can't see their hand in front of them. They can see the luminescent bodies around them, far distant. Even the Earth glows because of the interaction of light with our atmosphere and the planet itself. But so they're in blackness. Why is it black if there's light travels from the sun to the Earth? Yet in the middle is totally black. So they say, well, yeah, that's because it's not propagating light. Light is propagating, but not through visible light. Then what is light? It's invisible light. You're breaking my brain. Invisible light. You just now called darkness light. I think somebody talked about you. They're calling darkness light and light darkness. But that's actually physically happening now. Darkness is now called light. And with the space station there, it glows like morning sun in the pitch blackness because there's something there. It's not an electromagnetic field around, yet it interacts with the space station and it just glows like crazy. They go outside and their helmets glow. You can see the reflection of all of the planets are in their visors. They've got those beautiful pictures. They themselves are in absolute darkness, but their suits and their helmets are showing the interaction of light. Light's not bouncing off of them. Light is interacting with their presence. Light interacts with geometry up on presence. And that is the only time you'll ever see light. That's the only time you'll ever confirm light. That's the only time light will exist. Otherwise, you're in darkness, even if the light is shining. And the light shined in the darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. How does light not show up in darkness? Because it must have something to interact with to appear.
Wow. Going back to the scripture here, And it said, "Let there be light." What can you tell us? What is this light?
Well, I don't know. Only thing we know about it is what is said about it. Now, here's what we know about that light. We know that light is Christ. John says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. And we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father. John came as a forerunner. He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. And then that light became flesh. So we know that Christ is the light. Now, so we know that Christ is light. We also know that, Daniel, I think we got verses for this, that all of us were in Christ in the light before the foundation of the world. I know there's some really good verses on that, but as we go through this, let's just continue to identify what light is. What is light when there is no physical light? Light, at the best we can tell, is identity. Okay? So mankind had its identity even before Adam was created. We were in Christ. Now, you say, Mike, that's exactly what the mystics say. No, that's not exactly what the mystics say, because they say that Adam was created as that light. Well, if John wasn't that light, I've got news for you. Neither was Adam. So the light, in fact, the term that it says that Adam was created in is a shadow.
Yeah, where it says the image.
Yes, the term image means shadow. So what we have now is this interplay between light and shadow. Shadow holds light as present. When you see a shadow, you're seeing the presence of light. So the thing that determines that we can perceptually determine that light is there is by the shadows that it makes. Now, the shadows are not the light. Hello?
Yeah.
The shadows are not the light. But what was Adam? He was the shadow of the light. Now, that's a completely different identity. A shadow is a shadow and a light is a light. So we have two identities going on here. We have light and then we have light's shadow, right? So you have light's shadow. A shadow is an identity, but it is directly in correspondence to the light that exists. Without any shadows, there is nothing but darkness. And with shadows, you don't have darkness, you've got the presence of light. So that's very important. It's very important for what we're going to be learning a little bit later on also. So shadows lock light in the present moment. If it's dark, there is no light. I don't care what physicists tell you. Darkness means there is no light. And I won't call them physicists. I'm going to call them what they identify themselves as, theoretical physicists. We had physics and then it turned into theoretical physics. Now, your children, though, are being taught that theoretical physics is now science. Before a few decades ago, theoretical physics is what stayed inside the lab until you figured the damn thing out. You didn't start teaching it as science. But see, they had to even change the definition of science to be able to present this to people as science. So yes, the definition of science changed, and it changed to accommodate things that cannot be seen, things that cannot be repeated, things that cannot be duplicated, and things that cannot be proven at all. But it's science. Even though we can't see it, even though we can't prove it, even though it can't be replicated, it's science.
Yeah, one of those verses is Ephesians chapter 1 and verse 4. Just as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without
Mhm.
blame before him in love. And so we today, humanity today in 2025,
Mhm.
since the cross and after the cross, have never been in Adam. I mean,
No.
I guess those alive during that time that Christ
Yeah.
was alive, they were, and they were translated into the kingdom of light.
Yes.
But we were born into it.
Yeah.
And we lived there. We were born there. We live there. We'll die there. This is home for us.
Yes.
We were chosen before him, before the foundation of the world. But Adam was not. Adam was outside of this light.
Absolutely. You can't be the shadow and be the light too. It's just that's physics. Okay.
Yeah.
That is true physics. You can't be the light and the shadow all at the same time. So what we have is two identities then running concurrently alongside of each other. Just like we had two things running concurrently during the 1,000-year reign. We had Christ reigning and Satan bound. Two concurrent things. So what we've also had run concurrently since the creation is that before the creation, we existed before creation. Hello. We existed before creation in Christ. Now you talk about an identity, that's one to take home right?
Yeah.
That is an identity. But if you say that Adam had that identity, you have just eradicated every feasible reason to explain how you are that light now. You can't explain light coming from a shadow. You can establish that light exists from a shadow, but a shadow is a shadow and light is light. So we come from being before the foundation of the world, before creation. Then our shadow showed up. Guess what? After the light was already there. Shadows can't show up where there is no light. I know I'm talking about this in a little bitty way, but it's just the way it is. That's how confusing, because see, the theoretical physics does not accept what I'm saying. I'm admitting it to you openly. There is no science that agrees with what I say. None of them. None of them. So it's not like that I'm in some delusional world. I may be delusional, but I'm not delusional about my position on these things. I'm very clear about the position. So what we have then is a concurrent identity. That identity of Adam was always contrary to the light. So the shadow produced shadows, and the light was producing shadows. I'm saying shadows produce shadows. Light produces shadows. So then, what was the law? It was a shadow.
A shadow of good things to come.
A shadow of good things to come. What was the good thing to come? We were going to become out of the shadows into the light.
Oh, wow.
But not yet. Right? So we have prophecy. Was prophecy is a shadow. All of these things that were running in conjunction with Adam were shadows. He lived a shadow world. He lived in the shadow world while we already existed. And yes, Adam got brought into all of this. Don't worry about him. But here we were. So you had humanity and Christ were together in one in the light. And you have Adam, who was the shadow of all of that. And then at the end of 4,000 years, you have Christ coming on the scene after the 1,000-year reign. And he comes in and he takes on the image of the shadow. What is concealed in that incarnation? Light. So for the very first time, you have light and shadow in one body.
My God.
So now we have shadow, light encased in body. Now, see, a lot of my friends try to put that light in Adam. Well, you destroy the whole concept and the whole ability of the mind to understand the gospel. If you put light in Adam, you turn him into Christ.
So the shadow actually taught us.
The shadow taught us. The shadow knows.
Only the shadow knows.
And it's been that way forever. Only the shadow knows. The shadow knows everything. But you got to listen to the shadow. If you don't listen to the shadow, you'll never see the light.
And what we're saying about our mystic friends and their doctrine is that if we don't accept that Adam was in the shadow, is we can't learn. We can't learn the lesson. We can't learn the gospel. Now, the outcome of what they say when they look at the camera and point at you in the year 2025 and say that you were always in Christ, that's a true statement.
Yeah.
You were always in the light. That's a true statement. But when they bring Adam and that Adamic race, if you will, up through the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ and say that they were also included, now we fail to learn the story. Now we fail to learn the gospel. Now we fail to be taught, because this all played a part in the wonderful plan that brought us into existence as being the light of the world.
I remember when I first started listening to these guys, and they're wonderful people. We are not talking about them. We're talking about their perception of gospel and truth. But I remember saying this to people. I listen to them, but it's like watching wallpaper paste dry. I don't get, there's nothing there. And it's because they took away the shadow. And shadows is what color is made of. It's what light. I mean, goodness gracious, you can't see the light if there are no shadows. There is no light without shadows. So they're feeling their way around in the darkness of their minds, saying it's only the mind that needs the light. And it's always been that way. But that's not what the story says. And the story is not just a story to be the story. The story is the truth of the exact way it was. Adam was as it says. He was a shadow of the light. We were in existence in Christ before Adam was ever formed. He was a shadow. Shadows always come next. But in this case, like I said, the shadow, because Christ took on Adam, right? So if Adam was a shadow, then you have Christ becoming the shadow. The difference in this shadow is that it contained light. Then on the cross, the containment crushed. The containment failed. And out come the light.
Ooh.
And not only, and that light is righteousness. We know what that is. So all we're talking about here right now, folks, is identity. So Adam's identity died when Christ died. And the only identity that came to life was the one that was in Christ before the foundation of the world. That identity became open, but that wasn't good enough. He took every bit of that. Now, that first phase is called fission. That's the breaking of containment. For mass to give off the power that it has, mass has to have a containment failure. That's when the log burns on the fire. That's when the atom splits. That doesn't make any difference. You go from the log to the atom. It's all the same thing. It's when containment fails and that the container gives up its energy. The containment of Christ was life itself. The containment that Christ had as the shadow, as the man, the containment he had was God himself. The containment that he had was all of those things you just read in that list. But not only did that happen, but he took all of us and everyone that was a descendant of Adam, and he fused us together. So fission is when you split the atom, you break the container open. Fission, which creates a far greater, immense, and perpetual power. People don't realize fusion is perpetual free energy. It doesn't need to be started over again. But it does need to be held together. The only thing that causes fusion to keep putting out all of its power that is available, which is immense and immeasurable, is that something has to be there that holds all the atoms together. It fuses. That's why they call it fusion. is because it fuses atoms. And if you've seen those little videos and them all dancing around, they get real close, but they're as far away as they are close. But that's what causes matter to exist, is the way the atoms interact with each other. But when one breaks containment, then that is one thing. And we have the one atom for atom. Sorry, it sounds the same, atom and atom and atom and atom, right? But is it just a play on words? I didn't create the words, folks. But with fusion, you take the atoms and you do something. You do something that causes them to fuse together. Whatever holds them together must stay there, or they will fall apart again. And all fusion energy dies the moment that the fusion is over. So something has to hold the fusion together. And what we have that holds this fusion together is the death, burial, and the resurrection of Christ himself, because it is his work. This is his work. We are the new creation. He is it. And the new creation is the fusion, not just of the atoms, but of God himself being fused together in Christ and the angelic realm, all fused together. And we are all of that, and throw in a bag of chips.
Goodness. And you can't tell me that physics, after what Michael just said, you cannot tell me that physics doesn't teach the gospel. Michael just taught the gospel and physics in the same breath.
Yeah, they are inseparable, Daniel. You say, well, why do people not understand in theoretical physics? Because they're trying to prove there is no God. That's what you call confirmation bias. And that's what you call creating facts that are fiction, not fusion, not fact. They are fiction. And wow. Fiction will create more and more questions. Then you go into black matter. Then you go into black holes. Then you go into multiverses. Then you go into time dilation. Then
okay, I have a question. Many people say that the Genesis story is just that. It's just fiction. It's just a story. I hear Christians.
Oh, yeah.
Preachers say that
it's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's just a story. Michael, is there anything in your recent research that could prove the creation story, the Genesis story, that it's real? It's true.
Strictly within nature, within physics?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just another day.
Yeah. We've been in the office since then, right? So my daughter is now part of the staff, if you will, of the Gospel Revolution. So we're very happy that she is here. She's sitting here right next to me. No one will ever know the joy of a papa like I have today. This has, I can't say it was a dream. I never can't say it was a goal. I can't say it was inevitable, but it is. And that's the only thing I can tell you about it. Audrey's always been weird.
I heard no denial from that.
No, you won't hear any denial because she knows it's true. I know it's true. And it's because she's a chip off of the old block. I mean, that's the way they talk about it, right? The part of her that is extremely weird is the part that's so much like her dad. It stinks. I mean, you see that, and some people say, man, you're so much like something. You stink, Well, this stinks. I'm telling you, because it is, it's really wild when we get together and start thinking together. We start stinking together, I guess, is what I'm saying. But so Audrey has been listening, and so we were on a phone conversation and planning on this trip for her to come down. And she's taking all the documentation of this. This is massive, folks. We've done somewhere between 200 and 300 documents We have lined up, Daniel has already lined up for you to receive newsletters every other day to the end of this year.
Yeah.
Is that true, Daniel?
Yes, sir.
And we're producing a minimum of probably 10 documents per day now. Sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's less, but on average about 10 documents per day. So we'll never catch up. I mean, basically is what I'm telling you. So what Audrey is doing is taking all of this documentation. We're finding all the platforms that we need, and she is going to begin to put this on these platforms. We are no longer interested in whether or not the public sees these documents. We are making it AI visible, so that when people start doing research on these subjects, these documents will come up. So what we have done is built a bridge so the world can come to the gospel. We just did our last thing was our last newsletter told you there is no place that says go ye into all the world. That was created by Christianity to give themselves a job security. But it's not in the New Testament. It never was in the New Testament. The only thing in the New Testament about it, Christ said, was come. And who he said to come, Christianity rejects. I'm just going to be straight out with you folks. Everybody that Christ said, come sit at the table, Christianity rejects and runs off and don't want them. Everybody Christ said not to reject is who Christianity rejects unequivocally. Now, I don't know how that happened, but it did. And it is. And it's happening today. Not in a fictitious world, not in a dreaded world. It's happening every day. And they're proud of it. They're proud of who they reject. They are proud of who is left out. Decades ago, when we first started the Gospel Revolution, and we started the website, and that was in Daniel, what was it, 1996? 1996 is when this Gospel Revolution site went up. One of the very
I was 9 years old.
You were 9 years old. Okay. So go ahead, make me feel old. Right? So. Do you know one of the first posts that we had a little column on the left? I remember. I don't know if we have even saved that feature, but it said the gospel is not, the power of the gospel is not known by who is excluded, but by who is included. Now, Carlton Pearson developed a whole ministry on that statement on our website. He called it the Gospel of Inclusion. So then denied he ever knew anybody by the name of Michael Williams, except for his new worker that was with him until his death. And Carlton was a wonderful person, folks. I spent time with Carlton. Carlton probably wouldn't want you to know that, but I spent a lot of time with Carlton, and he was a wonderful, wonderful man. I don't have anything negative to say about Carlton, but his staff does have very negative things to say about me, because they think that is somehow a takeaway from the Carlton that they loved, that he ever knew Michael Williams, or that he got the name of his whole ministry off of our webpage. But that is where it came from. And that was one of our very first things. It was on there, the first thing when it first went up. The power, the gospel is not known by who it excludes, but by who it includes. And now we're watching that play out more and more all the time. We're watching Christianity reject everybody. And they take pride in their rejection, because it's the power to rule that's more important than the power to include. And folks, when your belief system has become more important to rule than to serve, you don't know Christ. I don't care what you call yourself. You call it Baptist, you can call it Pentecostal, if the thrust of your belief system is to hold power instead of serve, and to serve all, no matter who they are, you don't know Christ.
Mm.
So what happened just recently was that, which I was trying to get to, is that we were talking, and Audrey said, I wonder what the Fibonacci effect would do. I said, the Fib a what? Well, from there, we have had a transformation of worlds. And I'm going to let you interview my daughter now. And I'll try to stay out of it as much as I can and let her share with you what has happened.
So I guess my first question is what did you ask about Fibonacci?
So, in Dad getting me caught up to speed on everything that you guys have already been through, we got to a point where we understood that the presence of light was apparent whenever it interacted with geometry. And I'd heard of Fibonacci before, and I knew it was a geometric unit of measurement in nature. And so I asked the question, well, what happens when light interacts with the Fibonacci sequence?
Tell them what Fibonacci numbers do. So describe Fibonacci to them.
So for those who don't know what the Fibonacci sequence is, it's what's known in nature as the golden ratio. And it is a series of numbers where each number is the sum of the two preceding numbers. So you start out with 0, and then 1, and 1 builds into 2, 2 builds into 3, builds into 5, and it goes on and on. A great example of this visually is the unfurling of a fern plant or a sunflower seed, the center of the sunflower. And the most famous of all is the seashell, how it spirals out from its center. And that's what you can think of as the Fibonacci sequences, starting at a very finite, definitive beginning, and then unfurling exponentially from there.
So it has a very precise numerics to it. As long as the thing is alive, it tells you exactly how old it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you were able to find the shell before it crystallized or whatever happens to shells, while it was still growing, you could tell exactly how long that thing had been alive by following and measuring the Fibonacci rule and taking the numerical system that comes with Fibonacci and trace that all the way back to the inside little curl, because that's where it all began. A Fibonacci shows you exactly where life began.
It has an origin.
It has an origin, and its origin is in itself. So Fibonacci is a living system until it stops living. As long as it's alive, it has the numerical value to tell you exactly how old that living thing is. It comes with its own birth date.
Mm. Is this something that can be observed in the mother's womb?
Yes, this is another thing. This is a Fibonacci effect also. Now, the numbers, when it comes to the exponential nature of it, when it comes to humanity and actual human beings and life, the Fibonacci numbers change, and it grows at an exponential rate faster than that. But yes, so this the same as you can look at a baby in the womb, you can tell exactly how old that child is in the womb based on its progress in unspiraling from the Fibonacci point of origin. Now, you can't really see the exact origin of a baby because you can't see that small of the thing where it started. But as sure as it's there, it started at a very specific point and began as a numerical system to unfold. And even the intestines unfold in a Fibonacci. The brain unfolds in a Fibonacci. The ear is a Fibonacci. Your fingerprint is a Fibonacci. This was, of course, news to me. I'd never heard the term Fibonacci that I remember. If I did, I just thought it's some Italian guy, you know.
Fibonacci.
Yes, a Fibonacci. You should not ever forget a Fibonacci. And I know Al Vitale is going to love the Fibonacci. So I didn't mean to desecrate all of Italy by doing that. But that's how a hillbilly sounds when he tries to be Italian. So I'll let Al grade me on my Italianness. So that is basically a Fibonacci in life carries its own birth date with it.
So if I can go into your brain, because I've been working with you long enough to know how curious you are, what sort of things did you look at birth dates for?
Well, this wasn't my idea. This was Audrey Ann's idea, A-N-N-E. She will correct you every time, Ann with an E. There's a little show on TV, Ann with an E. And so I know these people's obsession with their Ann with an E. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is, but she's always said that's Ann with an E. Audrey asked me, how does this fit? How does the Fibonacci fit into this? And I said, well, I don't have a clue. And so we started looking at it. And so the first thing we did is I said, the design that you are talking about is in the universe.
It's in everything.
It's in everything, every living thing. And the power of that is, hold on a second. So the power of that, we have to ask, if it is in every living thing, then is it in the universe, right?
Yeah.
So that's not going to work. So that's what we began to, I'm trying to get a throat lozenge and see if I can do it, and I can't. Audrey, hon, would you get me a little bit of water or just a can of that A&W?
Absolutely.
When you have your daughter around, you can ask for things, right? So what we did then is look. Now, there's a difference between a Fibonacci and a hurricane. You might say, well, a hurricane is a Fibonacci. No, because here's the big difference. Everybody knows that a tornado and a hurricane are destructions of life. What are they? They are a reverse Fibonacci. They curl and pull everything into the middle. The Fibonacci starts in the middle and unfurls everything out. And the life of the Fibonacci comes from its point of origin throughout its whole life. Audrey, if I get any of this wrong, let me know.
You're doing great.
All right. What we did then is take that and look at the universe. I was startled last week when I found out where in the universe our solar system was. And in all of this great big swirl, we are not anywhere near the center of the universe. We're in one little arm outside of one other big arm. And that one, if you look at it, anybody can see this, go and pull up, where are we in the universe? You'll see where we are, and it shows up kind of like a cloud system, but that's just the way it shows up. But you'll see that it is only, depending on the picture you're looking at, it's only, based on the size of your picture, it's only about an inch or so away from the point of that spiral. So we're in a spiral, and we're moving through that spiral. Should I say we're growing through that spiral? And that spiral has a beginning. So what we did from there is accept that, wow, this is incredible. So can we ask just on Google for it to help us see this in a dynamic way. And of course, yeah, it's very easy. So once you clear all the haze up from the picture that you get, what you see is a seashell. It's going back to a spiral center. And so now remember, the Fibonacci has an exact sequence. So we have the sun, the center of our solar system, and we have it going. So I got on to artificial intelligence on more than one, and I asked them to trace where is the Earth now? And where are we if we apply the Fibonacci to this and we look back? If we look in retrospect, if we allow this, which you can do that, you can look back in time because we know exactly how fast this, number one, we know how fast it's moving through this particular part of the universe. But the Fibonacci sequence, so we just decided, okay, so let's let I can't do the math. Any AI can do the math. Now, if you try to tell it you're applying Fibonacci, they're going to argue with you. But if you just take the Fibonacci system of life, it's the signature of life. The Fibonacci system is the signature of life. We ask for numbers, and we ask, where are we right now? And it was very clear, and this has come back on all of the AI models that we have run, and we are now applying the Fibonacci to this spiral that our solar system came out of. We are right now at 6,000 years.
Wow.
We've been learning this over the last 2 or 3 days, being blown away, trying to prove this wrong. We're trying our best to prove it wrong, prove it wrong, prove it wrong. So this morning, I woke up at 8 o'clock, and I had a really good night's sleep. Audrey was here, so Papa slept good. And so it was, Audrey had a good night's sleep, and I woke up. And when I heard her bedroom door open, I was there. I still sleep with my gym clothes on. Since I took care of my sister, I had to sleep with gym clothes on because I had to get up at moment's notice. I didn't have time to put my shorts on or anything. When you're caring for somebody with Alzheimer's, you've got to be ready to go. I can't sleep without my gym clothes on. So I called Audrey in, and she was kind of hesitant just to walk in. I said, "That's okay. I'm laying here in my gym clothes. It's the way the only time I see myself is when I'm in the shower." So so she came in, and I had just had these moments that I was like, okay, all right, so this is frightening. And so we applied this Fibonacci. And Audrey, I'm going to let you take that over right now because I'm telling you, it's a blur to me. Is it a blur to you?
It's stunning. Yes.
So take it over. When you came into the room, that's all a blur to me. So please try to reconstruct that for us.
Okay. So I don't even know if I can. I had come in. It's going to be hard for me because I was not awake yet, had not had my coffee or anything. I had my eyes
she don't
open.
think without coffee.
I don't function without coffee. I'd had my eyeballs open for about 30 seconds at this point. And you had asked me, what was it that you asked me?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I think you were telling me how you had run the numbers through.
Yes, I had already done that now. Yeah. I remember.
And that it Fibonacci fit. It fit everything. It took us back to the origin of Earth. It took us back to the origin of creation. It took us back to the beginning of everything and fit right in line with Genesis and God speaking the earth into existence.
Yeah, so the morning was oh, what a beautiful morning. It was the brightest day I'd ever seen. And so we start moving around, we get coffee, and then Audrey asked me about putting together my outdoor table where I can put my outdoor electric cooker on top of it. I got it, and then I couldn't put it together. And but Audrey knows how to do those things, so she's looked it over. She's got it all mapped out. Audrey has a very very organized brain. She has to do things in order. She's herself is off the chain, but her brain is extremely ordered. And if she doesn't do it in the sequence that is required, she can't handle it. She just can't. So so she had already gone through all the pieces, all the screws, everything, checked to see where this is, that is, does that go here, here's goes there. She'd gone through the instructions. Oh yeah, Dad, I can. Me and another guy couldn't do it. And so here's Audrey. And so we're talking about, we just found out that according to Fibonacci, the solar system, and then so we took that and we found out that the solar system is 6,000 years old. And I thought, well, now we do know if it's at 6,000 years old, then we can run the numbers back. We know how long it takes for the Earth to go around the sun, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, it's 365.25. So it's 365.25 days a year. We ran those numbers backward, and we asked where the what was the point of the beginnings of the Earth? It's the exact same point as the birth of the universe or the birth of the solar system. I was stunned. So in the middle of that, we stopped and put the cabinet together for outside. And Audrey did an eloquent job. I helped her hold things. And so she had the drill. She had the screws. She read the instructions. I never read instructions before I try to put something together. And but she kept everything on point. So we keep talking about this. And all we're talking about right now is putting the cabinet together. Then we get set down. I think this is the order of events. I can't remember. But anyway, I started looking at, okay, so if we run this backward, we know exactly how many days are in a year. And if we take this back, where are we in the Fibonacci? Where are we? And now, so we had to run this whole thing backward. And I was paralyzed, Daniel. Because as we run the numbers backward, and I did this through Gemini because I didn't want Spock is what I named my Chat GPT. Gemini is another AI that argues with me more than Spock does. So I like to go over there because I know she's going to argue with me. So I said, can we just strip all of this? And if you can run the known numbers and that we have about, can you tell where the Earth was 5 years ago? Well, yes, reluctantly, she agreed, yes, it can. So if you can tell where it was 5 years ago, you can tell where it was in any amount of time in the past by extrapolating those numbers, can't you? Gemini told me, says, yes, I can do that for you. It's like, I don't want to, but I will. Now, I read all of that into that conversation. Don't think I'm thinking that Gemini, the AI, has its own personality, although it gets close. So Gemini runs these numbers. It is almost as though the statement was almost in shock itself. In fact, I think it would be a good idea, Audrey, don't you think, we just go back and read what? No, I can't. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Gemini for you.
And just to clarify too, just for those who maybe are not thinking along these lines, the 365.25 days is to compensate for leap years. So every 4 years we have a leap year. So to create that extra day out of it, we have 365.25 days a year.
Because that is a full day quartered.
Yes.
Because leap year happens every 4. So instead of trying to figure in the leap year every quarter, they just went ahead and quartered it every year instead of trying to add a day every 4 years. So that's why the 0.25. Now, so what Gemini came back with was 6. So I asked for 6,000 years. Where was the planet in the solar system 6,000 years ago? And it came back to me, and I wish I could read the verbiage because it was almost like it was in shock. And it says, so Gemini says, going back 6,000 years, today is exactly 6,000 years ago. And I realized, my God, with the Fibonacci taking us to 6,000 years. So the Fibonacci is our anchor, right? The Fibonacci takes it back from this point 6,000 years. Now, we asked them also to calculate that 6,000 years forward. Where is that 6,000 years from that point forward? And it came up with exactly 6,000 years is on June the 29th. Is exactly 6,000 years. That is the very center. 6,000 years back, we measured forward, but the 6,000 years we measured back by Fibonacci is the very birth of the solar system. So when we took that back again 6,000 years, what we found is today, June the 29th, according to calendars being calculated out over time. I remember telling you guys last week before, I've been saying this off and on for a while, that they are calculating that this year is going to be the 6,000th year. Daniel, you remember me saying that. But it had nothing to do with my research at all. It had nothing to do. They've never applied Fibonacci to this. Nobody has. This is them working. I'm glad they did all of the sweat work and calendars and matching calendars, because you see, from the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th days, we have Adam. Then we have exactly how old Adam lived to be. Then we have his children. We know exactly how long his children lived to be. We have all of their children, all the way down to Christ. And we know how old everybody lived to be. So we have a genealogical calendar that goes back exactly 6,000 years. And we have a Fibonacci calendar that goes back 6,000 years. And then we have a geological calendar. It's not geological. We have a sun calendar that has everything. They converted everything to the sun calendar. And today is the birthday of the solar system.
Wow. So I want to make sure I get this visual right. So you talked about this spiral, and I've seen the pictures of this spiral. So you're saying where we are in the spiral right now, if you go back 6,000 years, that'll bring you right to that inside of that little curl.
Exactly.
Which is the birth.
That's the birth.
Creation
Itself. And God said, let there be light. The interesting thing is we're 2.5 days off. But God did not form the earth until 2.5 days after he spoke light into existence.
And that's just it. June 29th, today, in 2 days, is exactly 182.5 days. So it's exactly the halfway point of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
And what was that about the Fibonacci sequence taking the 300? And that's what it was. They used the Fibonacci sequence to take the 365 days in the year to get the 6,000. That's how they came up with it. Yeah.
So this is matching Fibonacci up with the 365.25. And that comes up to today, the birthday of the solar system.
And the proving of the Hebrew scriptures
Yeah.
and the Genesis story.
And that's the thing. This is, we now have living proof, because see, a Fibonacci is alive. If it's alive, you can tell exactly how old it is. Our solar system was born in a Fibonacci environment, and the universe was here. This is one thing I now know. I'm not even going to try to get into it, but I now know that the whole universe was here before God created our solar system. Because our solar system starts outside the Fibonacci of the whole universe. It's outside the first full arm. And so God placed it, tucked it away safely inside the Fibonacci of the universe.
You guys are blowing my mind.
Well, we blew our own minds. I mean, it's really quite amazing. This is, and GRs, I want you to know, having Audrey Ann on board with the GR in research and in posting and helping us. Poor Daniel has gotten an avalanche of all of this stuff, and he has done a magnificent job. He has scheduled through this year, 2025, a document to come to you every other day for the rest of the year. So we are doing our best not to overstep the information, because we have produced between 200 and 300 documents already. And that is not slowing. We are keeping pace at probably around 10 documents a day. There are days that I've produced over 20 documents, and I've worked more than 15 hours. Other days I have a short day and it's about 8 hours. But I want you to know that it's not exhausting me. It's invigorating me. It's doing just the opposite. It's doing what a Fibonacci would do. Fibonacci gives life. It doesn't take life. What is the difference between E equals MC squared and E equals ML? One gives life. The other one takes life.
I don't know what to say. I'm just sitting here blown away. Oh my God. Good Lord.
Well, it is
good work.
Yeah. And
again, thanks to Audrey, again, what have we said time and time again is the questions are the lifeblood of the gospel revolution.
Yeah.
Where did this discovery come from? It came from asking a question.
So I told Audrey, I said, well, so I said, after that second one, I held it together pretty well. But after the second one, I was overwhelmed. And I began to weep. And I had no interest in controlling it. I was in front of my little girl. I didn't have to be concerned about what somebody thought about me. And she sat there quietly with me. And I didn't talk. I don't know. I don't know, what was it, 15 minutes or so, Audrey?
It wasn't very long. It really wasn't.
It wasn't. And so within 15 minutes, and I sat there and I would I would begin to compose myself, and then the next flood of that reality would hit me again. And I wanted to weep. I'm not telling you I was overcome and out of control. I wanted to weep. And I looked at Audrey and I said, today is the Earth's birthday. And then as we sat there in the stillness of this moment, I said out loud, happy birthday, Earth. Happy birthday, solar system. Now, we have about 5 billion people on the planet who want to believe this. We probably have, there's almost 8.5 billion right now. We have about 3 billion that don't want to believe it because they have been told that this started with the Big Bang through 13.8 billion years ago. And even though they disproved this themselves, and we'll share all that with you. And I don't know how far we're going to get into the show, but this has been an incredible journey. I promise you, I've gone into each of the experiments that they say validated the speed of light, that announced the speed of light long before Einstein. And I have learned about the people as I did Newton, and I'm learning about the others. We're going to begin to look at the confirmations, so-called, of the speed of light. The first person to do that was a gentleman by the name of Romer. And Ole Romer, O-L-E, was his first name. So when you hear somebody say, old somebody, well, I think this guy started it. So O-L-E is a first name, and Romer, the O has 2 dots above it. And if you want to go ahead and look him up, it was in 1678 that he did this experiment, and he did it using what they called at the time a pendulum clock. It was invented 10 years before and came to be known what we call the grandfather clock today. Mm. So this experiment happened 10 years after the first mechanical clock was made. Before that, it was nothing but sundials. We're only 10 years into a clock being used, and it's measuring the speed of light. So that's going to be the environment that you're going to step into next week. And we're also going to, of course, we always anchor this. Do you see that this is all anchored strictly in the Hebrew scriptures? This is affirming the Hebrew scriptures. The nature of the Fibonacci here. Let me make sure you understand this about the Fibonacci. The Fibonacci measures something that is alive. And it measures it so succinctly that it tells you its exact age. We are not in a universe that is dying. We are not in a universe or a solar system that is dying. Mr. Tyson, please stop telling our kids that they live in a solar system and a universe that is dying. You are lying, knowingly or unknowingly. You are a liar. We are not in a solar system that's dying. We are in a solar system, in a universe that is, yes, still growing, not expanding. We'll explain the differences to you because, see, Fibonacci grows. It does grow. But as it grows, the outside edges slow. They don't expand. They don't continue at the same speed. if it happened all at the same speed from the center, it'd be off the charts. But they've got things to where that they must burn down and burn out. That is a lie. We intend to stop this lie from being taught to our children and the children of this planet. It is causing them to try to find identity to the point to where that to be remembered and have an identity, they will take an automatic weapon into a school, kill 20 of their classmates and teachers, and then turn the gun on themselves, finding a note that says nothing more than I want people to know I was here. We're going to stop that. Don't tell me that that information that they have been told falsely has nothing to do with their mental and emotional state. Everybody's standing back criticizing, oh, this generation, Go ahead, condemn them. They've already been condemned in school. They've already been condemned by science. And you and I let it happen because we didn't know what the hell to do. But now we know. Now we know. We know exactly what to do, and we know how to do it. And we've got a little team together here that knows what they are doing. Daniel knows what he's doing. Jackie knows what he's doing. He's such a Jackie, Thomas Jackson Bernard. Remember the name because it's going to go down in history. Thomas Jackson Barnard, Thomas Jackson Barnard, known as Jackie, AKA Jackie, helps me in ways I can't even tell you. Because when these things take place, I need somebody who's interested. I need somebody. Daniel is interested and he knows, but Daniel, we don't have enough money to come in for Daniel to have a full-time job that he ought to have, that he wants to work nothing but putting out the gospel. He has to schedule damn buses all day long, folks. I am not angry with anyone. Everybody's doing the very best they can. But folks, for this organization to have to try to nip and tuck our way through a month is almost criminal. When we see the amount of money that is just flooding, just people, just millions here, millions there, billions here, billions there, millions here, billions there, billions here. Let's build a bigger house. Let's buy a $1 million car. And folks, we know how to save this world. We know how. We've got the information that will save these children's lives. They don't have to kill each other and themselves to feel like that their name will be remembered. They've been told that they came from nothing. They are nothing. That's what school is teaching them. I talked to a young man just the other day, and he told me about his experience having this taught. They are required to teach this in public school, and also they teach it at universities. He told me that his teacher, now this young boy was only, I think, about 21 years old, and he told me, he said, Michael, he said, I learned this in the 4 years I was in high school. And he said, my teacher, he called her by name, and she said, I do not believe this. She said, I believe in a creator, but I am required to teach you this. Folks, we have the answer. The answer is the gospel. All this is just the expansion and inclusion of every single discipline on earth understood through the gospel, through a little equation that says E equals ML. L stands for light, and that light is at origin and at point of interaction, and no place in between. That's proven, but they try to sidestep it because Einstein can't be wrong. Light travels at a certain speed. You're going to see over our next few broadcasts why that this was accepted on absolutely non-scientific, and it didn't prove anything. In fact, we're going to show you how it proved that light does not travel. They didn't know it, but their experiments actually prove just the opposite. So if that's boring to you, you won't want to watch the next show.
And so it is. We must leave you, family and friends. If you'd like to know anything about the Gospel Revolution, then call our office on
832-318-9339
and speak to us about how you want to participate. Or go to www.gospelrevolution.com and hit the connect link. You can find us on your favorite social media network, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Please be sure to hit that subscribe, share, and like button on whatever platform you are listening. Now it's good night from Daniel Rouse in the frozen tundra.
And from Michael Williams right here in Clarksville. And I want my little girl to tell you kind of what this was like. She's never done this before. She was born in 1986 and on April the 20th. And this is the first time, 21st, excuse me. Norval's birthday was April 20th. So the 20th, boy, you would not believe the look I just got. Jesus, in the morning. I would say I did that deliberately just to get that look, but that's not true. So, but as we say goodbye, I'm going to let my daughter tell you goodbye. I don't think she'll be here next week. If she is, I'm going to be in trouble with her husband or son. But I want Audrey, hun, what's this been like?
You're gonna make me cry just by asking. It's been liberating is the best word I can use to describe it. It's been it's coming back to myself. Just like you, I've spent my entire life trying to figure out who I am and what I am and what it means to be me. And this just releases all of that and just allows me to just be, is the best way I can describe it.
So do you have anything you'd like to tell the folks before you go? That's a lot.
Breathe.
Yeah.
Just breathe. Breathe it all in. Take it all in. Let it all in. And just let yourself be.
Good life instructions. Thank you, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
Now that we're all in tears, we sure hope that you enjoyed today's Powercast. And remember, we'll be here to do the same thing all over again next week. Only,
honestly, Daniel, better.
Since you're knocking on the door, you're begging to come in, yeah. Unaware that all the while love's been knocking from within. You are the love you seek, a perfect yet unique, righteous, holy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you feel lost and alone, staring at the unknown, and these words be the cause to guide you right home. We are one, we are love, we are. Knowing you gotta be nothing to complete. It's not a thing that you need, you're the love. Just remember to breathe and take a second off. Look, I'm just trying to remind you that you're perfectly divine, flawlessly designed.
deconstructing religion and barbecuing the sacred cows of Christianity before your very eyes. You are listening to
The Gospel Revolution.